Can you see it, June? Is it going?
Yes.
All right. Hey, everyone. It's MK. Welcome back to MK Quilts. Well, MK Quilts is on the road again, isn't it? So I am coming to you today from Dillard, Georgia, where you know I've been on retreat. I chattered about that last week, and maybe you caught my little video and some pictures that I posted this morning as I walked around the property and just talked to you a little bit, took a bunch of pictures that I posted. June, can you see some people jumping on? Usually
Yes,
up in the right-hand corner?
Yes,
Yeah?
and I'm seeing the hearts go up.
Hearts go up and everything. Okay, so you guys, usually I have a tripod, right, holding my camera. Well, I forgot it. I forgot a couple of things, but you know what? When you come on retreat, there's always somebody that pitches in and helps you and gives you what you need. Well, I have my dear friend June holding the camera today, so thank you, June, for that. Okay, so just before I jumped on, I did just a little bit of research into the history about the Dillard house. So I'm here in Dillard, Georgia. It's in the very north part of Georgia, just a few miles from North Carolina. So this is what Google had to say about the Dillard, this piece of property, and a little bit about the history. So this piece of property was established back in it was 17 something. I didn't even write the date down. It was in the 1700s, and it was Captain John Dillard, and he was awarded a land grant, like 1,000 acres here in this valley, and for his service in the American Revolution. Okay, so fast forward to kind of the facility that we're in today was officially established in 1917, okay? And then fast forward again to today, it started out from very small home here on the property, little farm, to what we have today. And it's a huge, it's a convention center, it's hotel, they've got chalets, they've got lodging, hotel, they've got business center, and this beautiful conference center that I am on retreat this week. So that's just a little bit of the history. We're gonna talk a little bit more with Deb Heatherly. Yep, you guessed it, we got Deb with us today. I'm gonna ask her a little bit about her association with the Dillard house and kind of how the retreat and all that got started, okay? So don't go anywhere because that interview's coming up at the end of the live feed. Okay, so what else do we got going on here today? Let me go, you know I got my handy list here. Okay, so what have I been up to? Okay, obviously I've been on the road again. You guys been following me. I was, last week I was in Cumming, Georgia, right? Teaching with my pro stitcher, had a small group, and hopefully you caught the post that last week was the first time that I had all of the ladies in the group, we were all Infinity owners. So that was really cool. Of course, we focused on the sim and the pro stitcher and all of that, but because we all had the same machine, we were able to, just talk machine stuff and just help each other with tips and tricks and all of that for our Infinities. So that was really pretty cool. So that was an amazing small group event. From there, I traveled on Sunday afternoon. My host had told me kind of a different way to go through Georgia to get here, and it was just a fantastic, beautiful drive to get me here. And I arrived, and it just was like, I'm here, and I'm on retreat, and this is time for me, right? So I am here. What's coming up after I'm here? Well, I've got a long drive on Friday to get back home. I'm gonna be sewing, quilting like a mad woman until I'm on the road again up to Clements, Maryland. Okay, so I mentioned that last week. I'm gonna be up in Clements, Maryland with a brand new owner. Okay, Paul's already installed her system, and then I'm going up for training after that. Private one-on-one training with her. And then we're having a 2-day Pro Stitcher event, and I already have people signed up for that. It's on the website. You can go ahead and sign up. And of course, it's all that I do with my Pro Stitcher. June is making smiley faces. Oh, Paul's on. Yes, Paul is back home holding down the fort. Samson just got groomed today. So, it's funny, you guys, as I've been traveling around, everybody asks about Paul and Samson. Most people want to know, does Samson have legs? Does he walk? Because pretty much we just see your husband holding him. Yeah, he's pretty spoiled. I know you all know that. Okay, what else is coming up after the Clements thing? I'll be home again, quilt like a mad woman, and then I'll be on the road down to the great state of Texas. Okay, so again, sold a system to a lady in Texas, Paul and I are going down there for install and training. Now, I am also open to a 2-day event down there for Pro Stitch or Sim Style, so if you're watching and you are near Stephenville, Texas, that is south and west of Fort Worth, you know, watch the website. We don't have our travel plans yet because we don't know when the system is going to be delivered. Okay, so just keep watching. It'll be either the very last week of September or the first week in October, and I will be in Texas, okay? All right, so that's what's going on. Ongoing things, you guys, of course, Thread Club, zippers and grips are flying out of there. Paul's home handling all the shipping. Yeah, he's been doing a great job while I've been gone. Okay, so today, you guys, what I really wanted to focus on is cruise, okay? So Deb was really gracious enough to give me a few minutes today to talk to the group about Cruise 2019. And as you know, I've been chattering about who we're gonna have on cruise teaching with us. Well, I have one of the trainers here with me today. And so I would like to bring up and have just a short conversation. My dear friend Keisha. Keisha is wearing purple.
That's the color.
Keisha's favorite color in the whole wide of the world is purple.
If it comes in purple, buy it.
So, Keisha, a few weeks ago when we announced that you would be joining us, I posted your bio up on the website. But just tell us, like, really briefly, like, how'd you get into quilting and a little bit about your story.
On 9/9/99, I took my mother to a party, and she had to get her hair done. So I was walking around an antique store while she was getting her hair done, and I found 18 hand-pieced feed sack Dresden plates.
Wow, nice
and
find.
they called my name. So I bought them. I bought a book on how to quilt. I started watching Alex Anderson.
Yep.
And I taught myself to quilt. And that was in 99.
1999, okay, so 99, 2009, almost 20 years ago.
Almost.
Right? Almost 20 years ago. Awesome. So how did you hook up with Deb?
Oh, lucky. She opened a shop in Franklin. And I walked in and said, need any help?
And what did she say? I bet she said.
Oh, please.
Awesome. Okay, so and what have you been working on here on retreat?
On retreat, I've been working on a prototype of one of Deb's new patterns, soon to be released.
Ooh, I was going to ask Deb about that later, what we've got coming. So you're going to be teaching with us on the cruise.
Yes.
So give us just kind of a little idea about what you're going to do on the cruise, how you're going to handle your portion of the teaching.
We're going to do two things. One thing we're going to call Tool Time. I have to apologize to Tim Allen for stealing the name of his show. And every day during the cruise, we're going to have a tool time where you pick I'll pick one of the Creative Grids tools. I'll have a little practice kit, and you can learn to make that block using that tool. If you come to every tool time session, then at the end of the cruise, you'll have about a 15-inch block you can put together as a table topper, pillow top, or keep going and make some more blocks and have a quilt. The other thing we're going to be doing is Deb's designed a quilt specifically for this cruise. It's called Caribbean Stars.
Imagine that.
It uses one of her tools called the Strippy Star tool, and we'll use the Strippy Star will be the first tool time we do. So you'll learn to use the tool, you'll have the pattern, and we'll, at your convenience, you can work on it all during the cruise, and by the time you go home, you can easily have this quilt finished.
Awesome. Okay, Keisha, you guys, if you're not signed up yet, get yourself signed up because you're going to want to come in and learn from Keisha. She knows Deb's patterns pretty much just about as good as Deb, I would venture to say. Okay, so speaking of Deb Heatherly, you've heard me talk about her so many times. You know, many times at the end of my live feed, I'll say, what do I have on the frame? Oh, can't show you because it's a big secret. Okay, so Deb and I go back, I guess, I don't know, from my first year on retreat, which I think this is my 7th year, maybe. Yeah? Okay, so June is nodding her head. So Deb and I have really over these 7 years developed such an amazing working and professional relationship, but she's also just a dear friend. So I'm going to call Deb up so you get to meet her in person here on my live feed. So this is Deb.
Hey everybody.
Hey Deb. Okay, so Deb, we asked Keisha a little bit about her history. So how did you start quilting? What is your story?
I started quilting in 1982. Yeah, way back there. I was a crafter, and I saw this beautiful basket that had an antique quilt top on the top, and I wanted to make one. So I bought an antique top, and I cut it. Well, this top had a whole nother layer of a quilt where they had re-topped this antique quilt, and I was fascinated by then the history of quilts. I never cut another quilt. After that, I wanted to learn how to do it. And my mother, nobody in my family had ever quilted. She wanted to be supportive. So for my birthday, she bought me a rotary cutter and a mat. We didn't realize you needed a ruler to go with that. So I took brown paper sacks and I made patterns. I was a garment construction person until then, and I pinned it to my fabric, and I tried to cut it with my rotary cutter and said, this is for the birds, and went back to my scissors. Well, about a month later, we figured out you needed a ruler. And life was much better with a ruler, a mat, and a rotary cutter.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about rulers, because that kind of came much later in Deb's career. But let's talk about retreat for a second. So how did the retreat come about?
Oh, that was a very strange story. The girls who worked in my shop knew that I had taught dance in my former life and took me on a surprise trip one night, and it was actually to like a dance production out at a facility called Rose Creek in Franklin. And as we looked around, we saw that there was rooms in this large room, and so plans started percolating for the very first retreat. And I believe we were at Rose Creek 3 or 4 years before we outgrew them. This is actually my 10th year here at the Dillard House.
Wow, so I've been with you
almost the whole time.
As long as Deb's been here. Awesome. Okay, so Deb, if I know that these 2 weeks of retreat are highly sought after, and they're probably going to be sold out. However, if somebody watching wanted to like get involved on retreat next year, what would they have to do?
The registration form will be on my website, www.debscatsandquilts.com, and it's only an N, not the word and. It'll also be on my Dillard House Quilt Retreat Facebook group. So you can join the group, and we'll have a file on there. It takes a $100 deposit and a registration to secure your spot. We do typically sell out both weeks a year in advance, but if you send in your form and your deposit, you get in line in that order. So if life happens and somebody has to drop out, you then get a spot.
Yeah, so all of us here feel very fortunate that we're here, and I'll tell you what, we have our little checks ready on Thursday so that we can get a spot for next year. Okay, so Deb, you mentioned that you once had a shop, but now you're doing something different in life. So what are you doing these days?
I am designing full-time for Creative Grids and loving every second.
Loving every minute of it. And if you have not done one of Deb's patterns or used one of her rulers that was specifically designed by her, you need to do it. You need to first come on the cruise, and Keisha will show you how to do it. And I'm telling you, as a long armor, you guys, they go on. Her stuff or anything pieced is just a quilter's dream. Okay, so Deb, I think that's it. I did want to mention you've got the Grids Girls group also.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, the Grids Girls group on Facebook is for people who use Creative Grids tools, and it's an educational site as well as we've had 3 mystery quilts so far, and we start a new mystery right after Christmas. Everybody's all excited. It is a private group, so you do have to go on, request to join, answer the question that tells me you're a quilter, and I'll approve you, and you can become a part of our happy family.
All right. Okay, Deb, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you guys, I just got chills. Like I had Deb and Keisha on live with me. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So really, you guys, that's pretty much what I got for you today. And you guys know that I normally show you what's on the frames at the end of my live feed, right? Well, I'm not at my frames. So I got permission to show you a couple of quilts today. So one thing that Deb didn't mention about our retreat is that normally, well, actually all the time, the retreats have a theme, okay? But also, Deb incorporates challenges into the retreat. And you can take advantage of the challenge if you want or not, but many people do each year. And it's so much fun to see the fabric that they got, what their direction was, and then what they came up with. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you what I'm working on, and then Deb and Keisha are going to hold up that Caribbean Stars quilt. There's another prototype that Keisha just finished. I'm going to quilt it up, and then I'm going to use that for publicity. So watch for that in the next couple of weeks. I think that's one of those things that I'm going to be quilting like a mad woman when I get home. Okay, so the first quilt, so this year's theme is quilting around the world. Okay, so those people who wanted to participate in the challenge were given fabric, and then they were given a country that their quilt had to relate to, and they could do whatever they want with that, and there was a couple other parameters. So this is my dear friend Linda Shoemaker's quilt. Her country was Costa Rica. And she got up the other day and told us this cool story. Linda likes to travel a lot. She travels with other groups of ladies, not necessarily even quilters, but she was traveling with this lady who met a bus driver on their trip, and they were on the way to, where were they going? San Jose? San Jose, and the bus driver knew how to get to San Jose. Here's the little bus driver. Oh my gosh, look at him. So this is just a fantastic quilt. I am always amazed by people who do challenges because I pretty much follow a pattern. But these people who come up with this, absolutely amazing. Now, I must say I was trying to get my friend Linda to get her challenge quilt. She had Canada. She must be back in the room taking a nap. Okay, so I don't have Linda's. Maybe I can put a picture up of hers later. But the last one I want to show you, it was our first place winner. And this is, back up. Okay, thank you, June. So this is my dear friend Rosemarie's quilt. And anybody venture to guess what country she drew? Her country was Japan. Okay, so she had some Japanese fabric in here. She did some research about Japan and whatnot. And then June, if you will zoom in on her little kimono there. Rosemarie is the queen of salvage quilting, and look at that beautiful little deal that she put on there, all done in salvages. I mean, she's just an amazing quilter, and I just love her to death. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to show you something that's not nearly as fantastic. This is what I'm working on at Retreat. It's just one of those little Villa Rosa patterns. I love those things because they're really just kind of mindless for Retreat. And I like to visit and you know, talk to my friends each year that I see. Okay, Deb and Keisha, do you want to hold up Caribbean Stars for us? So this is, I think, the first one. Keisha, did you piece this one?
No.
Oh, Deb pieced this one. Okay. So look at this beautiful quilt, you guys. Does that not look like the Caribbean? June, you okay there? Can you see
I gotta back up a little bit. Wait a minute. There, I got it.
You got it?
I got it.
All right, so does that not look like you would be on the boat sailing in the Caribbean, right? So it's got, of course, those colors of the water, the blue sea, the beautiful sunshine. Hopefully we're going to have beautiful blue water and clear sunshine when we are cruising through the Caribbean. So the other one that Keisha did, okay, that's good, you guys. Thank you so much. So the other one that Keisha did is back in my room. I'm going to be getting that quilted up when I get back home, and we'll get that up on the website. You know what? Some of the girls here on Retreat, I think, are going to be signing up for the cruise, so we're really, really excited about that. June, thank you for holding the camera. I know it gets kind of long, and whew, you did it. Okay, you guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks for joining me. As always, thanks for being a follower. Thanks for all of your business. Thanks for following me around wherever I go. I'll be back in the studio next week. And I think I'm going to grab the phone from June, and I'm just going to scan around the conference center a little bit as I fade out. All right, you guys, from my studio and Dillard, Georgia to you, happy quilting. $50-some ladies having the time of our lives. All right, you guys, thanks for joining. That's it. It's MK. Bye-bye.